Welcome everybody. We are thrilled to be here for our number 4 of 4 of our cruise fair. I'd love to start with a quick introduction of name, company, and a little bit about your company, because the goal really is going to be very top level. We don't want to get into the nitty gritty sort of like itineraries, size of staterooms, that sort of stuff. Let's really try and make this emotional connection coming away so we can come away from today's training knowing your product better. But this is your one opportunity to give us the sales pitch. So feel free to do it now. I do cut people off, as you know. Everybody was pretty good on the first session. So why don't we start with Mary Ellen?
Well, hi everyone. This is exciting for me. I am Mary Ellen Klein and I'm the Regional Sales Director. So Christina's in the back. She's still your District Sales Manager for the area. But I came because this is a very unusual forum and I really wanted to see how it worked. So Disney Cruise Line, as most of you know, we have 4 ships and we're known for what Disney services on land we brought to our ships, and I think that's really what's going to connect to your guests, is that heartfelt caring and service and attention to detail that will leave them with the memories that they wanted with their families when they sail with Disney.
Thank you, Chris.
Hi, I'm Christine DeSouza. I am the Director of National Accounts for AmaWaterways, and AmaWaterways is a luxury boutique river cruise line. Hopefully all of you all know us. If you haven't sailed on us, I invite you to come sail on us. We have a total, at the end of 2015, we'll have a total of 19 vessels. We sail the rivers of Europe. We also sail in Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Cambodia, Myanmar, which is formerly the country of Burma. We have a new ship coming out there as well. We do Africa on the Chobe River, and we are a family-owned and operated company, and we would love to work with you.
Great. Yeah.
Kevin Smith, Silversea Cruises. First off, thank you everyone for hosting us and letting us participate in such a great event. Silversea Cruises is an ultra-luxury cruise line. We have 8 ships in our fleet. We're divided in between Classic and Expedition, ranging from 100 passengers to 540. Ultra-luxury butler service, all-suite accommodations, and we'll get into more later.
Hi, I'm Kate Caridio with Princess Cruises and CUNARD line. On the Princess side, about to have 18 ships. New Regal Princess comes out in about 2 weeks. Just spent about $20 million to get back on television, which we haven't been for at least 10 years. New tagline, I hope that's not me, come back new, ignore the phone. Come back new, which just is what we're trying to project out there, is we want you to go on vacation on one of our ships and come back relaxed, rejuvenated, rested, and have a great experience, but enjoy yourself. Get away from the lines and the rush of everyday life. On the CUNARD side, 3 ships, still the youngest fleet in the industry with the Queen Mary II, Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria. Queen Mary II is actually celebrating her 10-year anniversary this year, so there's some events around that. But traditional cruising, very well known for our transatlantic crossings, is what we're famous for. They're not just repositioning ships, we have scheduled departures on that, and it is an ocean liner.
Great. Thanks, Carol.
Hi everyone, Carol Heron with Regent Seven Seas Cruises. I want to thank all of you for your support. As most of you know, Regent Seven Seas Cruises, the tagline of the most inclusive luxury cruise experience, pretty much says it all. We're a fleet of 3 ships, all suite. Our all-inclusive nature makes it a little easier for you guys in that airfare, shore excursions, drinks, gratuities, and now coming up with free Wi-Fi to make it easier for you guys to sell. We did announce that we're finally going to be launching for 2016 a new ship, which will be the Regent Seven Seas Explorer. So we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Hi, Jacinta McAvoy, Lindblad Expeditions. We own and operate 6 ships around the world, all National Geographic branded. So when your clients travel with us, they're traveling with National Geographic scientists and researchers and explorers on board. We also charter 4 ships, the Sea Cloud, and a number of others, which we can talk about later. But our guest is not your typical cruiser. They're people who are interested in immersing themselves in the world. They're the emotional traveler. So, but suggested, because not everybody, even though we don't have the luxury vessels, we still have that luxury experience. So thank you.
last but not least, Karen.
Good afternoon, I'm Geraldine Giacconi with Azamara Club Cruises, so thank you so much for having all of us here. This is such a great format. We are 2 small boutique ships. We're the upmarket brand under the Royal Caribbean family. So there's 686 guests on board with almost 400 staff. It's a country club, casual ambiance on board every evening, and all-inclusive. But we're really focused on the destination experience. So we go primarily Asia, South America, and all over Europe, but what makes us different is our longer stays, more overnights and night touring. So we slow down the pace and give your guests some more time to really enjoy a richer destination experience.
Terrific. Well, welcome everybody. So why don't we start with sort of like a pulse on the business sense of how we're all doing. In all of our last 3 sessions, I'm pleased to say that for the most part, we were about 90% everybody hands in the air. Business is getting better. People feel like the pace is going well. And it's great to see that as well. So I'd love to hear from you guys, what do you think, why is that happening? Why do you think the cruise market is seeing the bump that it has? A couple years ago, we were all sort of sitting here scratching our heads saying, what can we do differently? Is there a promotion you put on place? Is it a new ship that you've launched? Is it just the economy's better? What's your take on the reason why business seems to be strong?
I think it's the economy. I also think it's loyalty, and it's referrals that we seem to be getting from, our agency community, but also our direct clients as well. But I think people are looking for a different experience. They're looking for something new and different, and, that's one of the reasons that we are so successful right now at 98% occupancy across our fleet.
Speaking to the economy, I think that, with the fluctuation in the euro, people want to know exactly what they're going to pay up front. And by paying upfront in US dollars and having everything included, I think it's easier for people to wrap their mind around the cruise experience when it's all inclusive.
Because we are such a unique product, I think, at Disney Cruise, we were lucky enough not to experience some of the, or as extreme downs as some of the other vendors, because we provide something that is so unique. But we have definitely seen an increase in the last couple of years. We brought out 2 new vessels over the last 3 years, and we've done a lot of reimagining. We've basically gutted the magic. So we keep things fresh. We have a large repeat clientele, and we need to do that. So I think by getting the new vessels finally in out to our guests and then reimagining, we're keeping that something that someone will want to be a guest on.
I would also agree with the economy, but I also think, because so many people, a few years ago, things were just cut out. Vacations was one of the first things. And I think we all come to realize that these are one of the most important things in this busy kind of life we all lead to get the family together. Whether it's just your immediate family or the multi-generational. I just sailed in the amount of, the grandparents, the parents, the kids, and even beyond with aunts and uncles and people traveling together. And really, the joy of it, really, and not to sound so corny, but we all are running. And just with my own son, I'm here, my husband's there, he's texting, that was him. And you're never all together for any great length of time, and I think people just realize vacation and doing this together is very important. Pocketbooks are getting a little bit better, but not as quickly as we want.
And I think the cruise is the way to do it, honestly.
Well, that's exactly what I was gonna just
Yeah.
say. The prices for luxury hotels in Europe are so astronomical this year. I've never seen, and I do luxury travel, I've never seen anything like it. So cruising, no matter which cruise it is, it's the way to go.
Great, Kevin.
Well, I think last year we finished the year extremely strong in this office and then across our territory completely. And the same can be said for 14. I think what that's coming back and peeling back the onion and trying to find the reasoning for that might be in the Silver Fare guarantee. Basically, so if we decide to lower a cruise fare, we'll honor that to the guests that booked at a higher rate. So I think they're seeing, they're booking with confidence. And we're kind of erasing any kind of concerns that come up. So we're seeing bookings come outside or opening up the booking window.
So it's interesting, I'm often asked in the press a lot, there is negative press occasionally on cruising market. Thankfully, it's been I felt really bad for Norwegian yesterday.
Yes.
We're like, Dad, can we see your ship stuck out there in the river because of the tidal? But are your, Do you guys feel it as much or not? I know we feel it because we're countering it a lot with our customers that it sometimes comes up. But do you guys get a sense of that same? Is it?
I think people are getting a little more used to the fact that
Yeah.
the media likes to exploit everything. Like, it could be nothing and they're gonna make something out of it. And especially in the luxury market, these are well-traveled individuals. I think that they can kind of take it with a grain of salt. So we've been pretty lucky in that respect that they're not as fearful a traveler as maybe a first-timer.
I was gonna say the same thing about first time versus repeaters. I think that we feel it with our first timers, but we felt it more, say, a few years ago, with Costa. These littler things, they seem to be letting go and realizing it's more for press and action news type of thing, that, so they can let that go, even the first timers.
Great. So let's talk about first timers there. You know, yesterday somebody threw out the stat that, whether it's accurate or not, I'll go with it, but about 80% of the traveling public has not cruised. So it truly is an untapped market out there of people going to the cruise industry. Tell me one thing about your product that I may not know or our team may not know, which would be great to incentivize the first-time cruiser that would draw them to your products.
For Disney, I would say how much is included in the product, so it's fairly seamless for them. There's a lot of onboard amenities, the children's program, so you can, as you're explaining, it isn't, and then you pay for this, and then you pay for that. It gives them that sense that this is going to be an easy booking. Because I don't know cruising, I don't know what I'm doing, and it seems like daunting. Our cruise line isn't, because so much is included. It's an easy educational process, just explaining our children's programs, et cetera, and all the bonuses that go with it.
Do you think there's a safety element too with the Disney brand?
Yes,
that somebody
absolutely.
kind of knows when you say Disney
Yes.
versus
It has
something
really
else?
been successful for us. I don't think it plays as much necessarily in the Caribbean for taking a cruise, but when we heard our guests wanted to go to the Mediterranean, when we first did that a few years ago, safety was the #1 reason that they mentioned to us that they wanted our cruise line there.
Great. So one other product, yeah.
The Azamara brand's coming from a whole different approach. It's interesting because we have 2 small ships, but about 20% of our guests are first-time cruisers ever.
Wow.
And when we asked them, why haven't you cruised before, they didn't want the big ships with thousands of people, so they stayed away from the whole cruise industry. And they tour though. They enjoy destinations, touring, boutique hotels, so that really aligned with what we were doing as a brand. So while we have a phenomenal onboard experience, they like the fact that we stay till 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, and it gave them more time to really enjoy the destination. So then once they came on a cruise, they were like, wow, a cruise is really neat. So I think that that destination focus brought them here, and then they repeat because of the service level and because they like the whole concept now of cruising.
Great. Anybody else? Kevin?
We talked about the prices of hotels in Europe for luxury. And if you look at the per diem of a Silversea cruise per day, where you have the relay and chateau influence in the restaurants, the butler service, the all-inclusive product, you know, you can sell that to somebody that's, you know, used to doing a land cruise and just, you know, show them the incentives of, you know, you're going to go to 7 different ports, you're going to see, you know, different cities versus being landlocked. But you're going to have that home base feel at the end of the day. And, you know, a lot of these properties have that relay and chateau flag. So, you know, the guests will seek comfort in that, knowing that Silversea has that.
Great. Who else? Tell me something I don't know.
Sure, I would just add that 80% of our clients in river cruising actually come from the blue water cruise market. So it's a great target audience if you want them to try river cruising. But 20% of our guests have never cruised before either. And one of the things that makes river cruising and AmaWaterways so easy to sell is the all-inclusive nature of the experience. From the moment that your clients arrive at the airport, you know, our cruise managers are there to pick them up. If they do a pre and a post, the cruise manager's with them every single step of the way. So they really don't have to do anything. It's a very, very seamless vacation experience. It's a very easy vacation experience. And I would also just pitch the fact that, you know, we do go to places that ocean ships can't go to. And that's, you know, a really authentic way to see Europe without having to pack and unpack and, you know, switch hotels every night.
Great. Who else hasn't done?
Yeah, I think that we have benefited as a small ship company from some of the publicity around the larger ships, unfortunately. That people don't want to be on a really large ships should something happen. But I think, you know, the all-inclusive nature of what we do across the cruise base is what's the driving factor. I think people realize it's a one-stop shop. You know, I can see all of these destinations, and I don't need to pack and unpack, you know, and I think that's the appeal.
Again, that sense of being taken care of. The
Right.
cruise line is responsible for these tours. The cruise line is not gonna, you know, let us go off into unknown territory. They've checked it out for us, they're putting their name on it. It's a safety, you know, safety net for them.
Okay, so, Kate, do you want to add anything, or you're good?
Really basic, I think a lot of it is with all-inclusive, that they don't realize what's included. I think people still think you go on a cruise and the only entertainment we have is eating. And that there isn't all these extensive gyms or you know, menus that you can follow. What I always find interesting, one of our highest destinations with first-time cruisers is Alaska, where you would think it would be more Caribbean market, but Alaska, and it's a destination-driven area, and it's the best way to go to Alaska on a Princess Cruise. But it's interesting that that's where people, or most of our first-timers come, so.
So let's go a little bit to the wow moment. I look at all of your different products and you all offer something so unique and special. Really wow this group with like, what's the coolest thing on your ship right now, or the new itinerary, or a new restaurant that you open. Like really dig a little deep into your knowledge base right now and really like kind of wow us, because I think sadly sometimes they all start to look alike a little bit. You know, we're trying to struggle with like, how do I recommend one over the other? So, and all of you are innovative and coming up with different ideas, but really take this moment to sort of wow us with one thing that you're super proud of that your company's doing. Carol.
We're doing a lot of free pre and post, because a lot of times people go, I want to go to that destination, but I also want to do a land. So we have Africa cruises that will include a safari, so people are getting both the cruise experience and the land experience. When we're doing Asia, we'll have a free anchor watch, so people who are going that far, they're not going to miss the destinations that you can't normally go to by cruise ship. So having these, I'd say, you know, pre-post packages included into the luxury cruise experience, perfect seamless itinerary for a whole vacation.
And you mentioned in the first panel something called a block party. Tell us about the block party.
The block party is a lot of fun, because you're talking about relationships. You know, the staff does an amazing job of making people feel comfortable, and just they go above and beyond. But sometimes you don't get to meet people because everybody's going in different directions. The first night of all of our ships, on all of our ships, we have you come out into the hallway with your glass, and we come around the ship and fill them up, and you get to talk to all of the guests that are on the same level, on the same deck as you. And it's really nice. It's an icebreaker. You get to meet those people around the ship. Maybe you'll have dinner with them. You know, maybe you'll go on an excursion with them. So it's not just the staff and the guests, it's the guests meeting other guests that really is
Cruising
nice.
is so social.
So social, yes.
Unlike many hotel experiences, so I love the idea, so I wanted to say
It's
that.
so simple, and it's free. I mean,
So another wow thing about your products, Mary Ellen.
I think something that we've come up with creatively is that our Mediterranean sailings, we've added a layer bringing our Adventures by Disney product onto the ship. So instead of just a traditional shore excursion, you're actually in your world on the ship in an Adventures by Disney moment, which is our escorted tour program, if you're not familiar. And what happens is the two guides sail with you, and at every shore, instead of getting off and doing a typical shore excursion, you get off with your two Adventures by Disney guides, and you go do some really amazing, wonderful, unusual things, and you're VIP treated as you do it, because we have access, because we do other land tours, and because we're Disney, so we can do some cool things behind the stage moments, if you will. And so we do that layered on to a regular Europe. So I think you see it in a richer, deeper way, and especially most of your guests are probably seasoned to some extent, but maybe they haven't sailed with their family, so they want to see it in a different angle. So with our two guides, we really consider one of them sort of a guide for the junior adventurers. And in some cases, they're taken off to see, for example, say the Louvre. They see the Louvre in a little bit different way than the adults see it by doing detective tours and things like that. So it's just another level to offer your guests who are experienced.
Great, Kate.
In Alaska, something I don't know if everyone's aware, on our cruise tour side, we actually have the train come right up to the ship area, get off the ship, cross the street, get on the train, and go to one of our lodges. We're the only ones to do that. We've moved the ships to Whittier, So it makes it a seamless transition. We own our own lodges. They're built, run, and operated by Princess, but it just makes it easier. You get to the lodge so much quicker. You're in Mount McKinley at about noon the same day. So it's a neat thing. On the CUNARD side, one of the wow things I said before was the Queen's Room with the ballroom dancing, but we also have a planetarium on board the ship, which is really cool. So something different, and they have different shows throughout the voyage, so something neat.
Great, well, yeah.
Ours would be our Amazing Evening event. I know when I was here last year, we were just starting that, but we've really evolved these, and now we have a year under our belt, and it's really resonating with the guests. That's an inclusive feature on every voyage other than a transatlantic, because it's primarily a land-based event. In the evening, we bring the guests off the ship to a unique venue, a cultural place or archaeological site, a villa, chateau, and we do some type of cultural event for the guests, exclusive to the Azamara guests and very unique to the destination. So we have over 60 of them for 2014. Again, it's an inclusive feature, and the guests are coming back going, wow, that was really a neat evening, and they didn't know what to expect, and the fact that it really immersed them in that destination experience for the evening, it was fun.
So you alluded a little bit to it earlier, but talk to me a little bit about Nights in Cool Places.
Yes, we have two new programs. One is called Nights in Cool Places, and the other is Insider Access. So Nights in Cool Places is for that traveler who says, I like the fact that I'm staying late, but I don't want to get off the ship at night because I don't know where I'm going. So we created a series of these, and they're evolving, where they can go behind the scenes, maybe at an art museum after hours. They might go to meet the art curator. They could go to a performance and then go backstage and meet the performers afterwards. But they're small groups of guests, 18 to 20 max, so it's a very intimate experience. But it allows them that night touring concept and something that they wouldn't be able to do on their own. The Insider Access is by day. That's even more intimate. That's 8 to 10 guests being invited to someone's home, villa, farm, and just being with the locals and maybe having lunch with them, learning about their history, viewing their beautiful grounds. But we thought it was a natural extension because I think we all agree when we travel, some of the most fun moments are the people you meet along the way, the locals, and the experiences that just sort of happen. Well, rather than leaving it to chance, we've now created these Insider Access packages, and those are additional costs, as is Nights in Cool Places, but it's for those clients who go, well, I've been to all those places before. Now you can come back and say, but Azamara's creating some events that you would have never done on your own before, so you can see this destination in a new way.
Great, thank you. Who else? Kevin?
Silversea does a lot of wow moments, and trying to pick one is pretty difficult, so I'll share two. One is the deck barbecue that happens, whether depending out on the deck, where we'll have our entertainment do, the full song, whether it's, the classic hits or, the top 40s. And then we serve a local cuisine, so if we're in Barcelona, there's an enormous bowl of paella going around, and it's a rich opportunity. It's all the guests are out and really enjoying themselves. But one that I feel that gets overlooked the most is creating that moment for your guest and allowing them to find out what do they want to do on their vacation. That would be our Silver Concierge Service, where you can work with the concierge service to build any type of excursion you'd like to offer your guests. Whether it's renting a MiG jet, that's just one example, but we can create any kind of excursion along with enough heads up, and we can put that into play for their cruise.
Is that
and it's commissionable.
You knew where I was going.
I know.
Okay, yeah.
I just go back to my first river cruise experience that I had this past December, and I sailed I was actually from Vilshofen, Germany to Budapest, and one of the most incredible wow moments for me personally was the night illumination cruise that we do in Budapest, and it is absolutely amazing. Everybody goes up onto the top deck, and there's champagne that is served, and amazing opera music, and our river cruise ships are just doing like a nice little tour around Budapest at night, and it is, I got goosebumps just even thinking about it. It's truly a magical experience that I will never forget. I think on all of our products, one thing that is new that definitely is a wow for those who have river cruise before would be our limited edition tours. We've added a whole series of limited edition tours which allow that river cruise client to go back to Vienna and experience Vienna in a different way. So we've got different products or different tours for that repeat client that might have been down the Danube and they can have a new experience going
Great,
forward.
so who didn't get to go? Isn't the thing?
Yeah. So I think what I'm most proud of is our 360-degree approach to expedition travel. So a couple of years ago, we decided that, we've traveled above the sea, now we want to look under the sea. So we created this, what we call our cool tools, and these are tools for exploration. So on 3 of our ships, we have a mini submarine, and we're able to send it down about 100 feet under the ocean, and in Antarctica and the Arctic, for example, and bring back really cool footage, so that our guests can actually sit there in the comfort of the lounge and watch it at night. We also have hydrophones to listen to the whales, in Baja California. And of course, our National Geographic certified photographers, which are so important, because these are normally once in a lifetime experience for our guests, the places that they go. So they want to capture those moments, either by video or by photographs. So we have somebody there to help them take better photographs and simply sometimes teach them how to use their camera. So those are really great aspects of expedition cruising.
Terrific. Questions from the audience?
I want to ask a question to all of you. Do you offer in your shore excursions any other language rather aside of English?
We're English only.
All English?
We're English speaking, however, if we have advanced notification of a group, we can make arrangements for a foreign language with our guides.
Don't you have a lot of other foreign travelers on all your sailings?
We're 80% North American.
North American?
Yes.
All of them?
Yeah, we're
Again.
probably 90%
Huh?
of
So we'll
US
be
and
on
Canada.
request. Yeah, Judy, we're half and half. The half of ours are North American, half are international, but that's primarily English-speaking, UK and Australia. But to your question, if we knew we had a complement of French-speaking or German-speaking, the tour operator we're using would be informed, and I know they would probably provide them the headsets to listen in their language.
Great, Minnie.
Do any of you have anything special for single passengers?
We do, yeah, we have a wonderful.
I'm not talking about pricing, I'm talking about where the people feel comfortable that they're alone.
I would definitely say so. My river cruise experience, I was a solo traveler, and we actually do a welcome cocktail party for our solo travelers, and we also offer shore excursions as well for the solo travelers, so they can, kind of mingle and mix together. So I felt very comfortable.
I think we have single get-togethers, too. Everybody, right?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
And the other thing that we do is our staff is so interactive, and I know you're hearing that from a lot of us, but the staff will make sure that they know who the single travelers are, and if
And
they
make sure
see
they're
you sitting,
comfortable.
having coffee in the morning, you might have the captain going, could I join you? And he'll just sit down and have coffee with you. And you're gonna see that a lot. I've never been on a cruise, and I'm in the industry 30 years, where the senior staff is so out and visible, and I see them a lot intermingling with the singles.
So let's talk a little bit, hang on, so
Yeah.
and then I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
So when we book a hotel, it's very easy for us to send a VIP message to our hotel contacts and say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones are showing up, here's a little bit of background on them, this is what we need from you. Cruise lines have not typically gotten to that next step of really being able to figure out how to do that the same way that hotels do. I think you guys do it, but it's harder because you gotta get to the hotel director who's on a ship and blah, 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 blah. I think to Noody's point about singles, like when we know something about our clients that we need a little extra love, what do you guys do, how do you guys handle that? Because I think that would be useful for us to know what's the best way to work with you guys on the communication directly with the show. If anybody wants to join, go ahead.
For me, send me a message. That's the most important. And then what I do is I communicate it right up to the expedition leader, the hotel manager, the purser, put it in their record so it actually shows up on a report getting there, so that way it doesn't get lost in translation.
Kevin?
VIP packages, I think we do extremely well at Silversea. And if anybody has anybody coming up on a Silversea cruise in the near future, send me their booking number and I'd be happy to attach
What is a VIP?
What is
VIP
that?
package. It'd be a welcome letter. It'd be an invite to an officer's dinner, so the officer would be at the table. Fresh cantaloupe delivered daily, chocolates, an arraignment of different newspapers. There's different types of VIP packages. When we're in the Galapagos, we do free dry cleaning in our
Is
VIP
that something we
package.
pay for, or is that something
Do we pay for
That's, I would pay for that,
Oh.
on my budget, yeah.
So we go to you and say,
Yeah.
we need a
So
little extra.
I guess to go back to what do we need to do?
Right.
It would be communicating through me.
Anybody got a different format, or?
No, I was gonna say
okay.
the same thing, it's the district sales manager is your key contact.
I think for the travel advisor, I'm not trying to put words in people's mouth, I think we know it works on the hotel side, like it's, you trust the system. I think it's a little harder sometimes on cruise lines, and we know we trust you guys, but then are we making sure that it's actually, because we don't often get to talk to the ship directly the way we get to talk to a hotel directly.
I think
So-
sometimes though, we need a little bit more information than it's a VIP, like
What does
if
that
you
mean?
can give us,
What does it
right,
mean?
what is that?
Right. Great advice.
Yeah.
And also a time, you know, we need a heads up. I know from Silversea,
Yes.
we need at least, 30 days, we can implement it fine, but if it's 2 days before sailing, it gets a little difficult.
So Joan, you had a question?
Yeah, no, I
cut you
was
off.
wondering if any of you have any special pricing for singles, or is it only 200%?
No, there's a lot of dates on Azamara that are 125%
Okay,
or
that's good to know.
150%. And you can find them on Cruising Power. There's a single supplement flyer on there that's updated, and there's also, if you go into the one-stop files, which is an Excel chart, that's better because it's updated weekly, and there's even a tab that says single sup. And you can click on that and it will bring up those dates that are at 125%.
Okay, anybody else?
Yes, we're the same.
I have a flyer right there for you. And then also, on an ICV level, if anything ever comes up, you can always bring it to our attention, me and my inside team, we can do a concession and lower the price of the next month.
Yeah, I think we have over, 78 sailings with wave single supplements on AmaWaterways, so.
Okay, and the best way to reach you all for VIP things is email, just
Email.
Email or
So
you can-
on the
my cell
handout
phone
that's on
comes the
everybody's
post.
chair, which is new this year, a photo so you know what the person looks like, but we also added contact information. So we tried to make it
Yeah.
simple, stupid. The VWT intranet is always up to date, so you can always go there too with a direct link. And I should have said it from the beginning, you'll probably notice we're short Holland America and Seabourn because we're going through a transition with a rep there. So if you need questions on that front, just come to me and I'll tell you who to go to. And I don't know if I said with Chris, because Chris is national accounts for AMA, Columba is still our rep. She just was not able to be here today. Other questions from the audience? Yeah, go ahead.
For Mary Ellen, I have a lot of friends as far as the parks go that love going to the parks. They don't have kids, they just enjoy it more as an adult than they do, as they did as children. Does that translate to your ship product as well? Do you see people without families traveling on your cruises?
Yes, absolutely. It's funny, one of your fellow advisors was just speaking right before we broke for lunch about how she was shocked the guest brought it to her. It wasn't her suggestion, she was honest enough to say. And she was kind of taken aback that they wanted to sail on Disney Cruise Line as two older adults. And I shared at least 30% of our travelers are adults without children. Not adults that are there maybe multi-gen and someone else has the grandkids. They really travel adults only. And if you, once you're aboard our ship and you see what we do supply for adults only, it's kind of a double thing. We have such great children's programs that the children are very involved, and it's not that you see them out and about too much on the ships, but they also have 2 of their own pools and activity areas. Our adult area, and I've worked for other cruise lines, is kept adult only, completely adult only. And we just got off sailing, Christine and I, this weekend, and I saw how we very delicately managed a guest who was bringing their child to the pool. So we have adult-only restaurants, we have adult-only pool area. I mean, it's very, very common for adults to sail because of exactly what your friends and family enjoy at the parks. We bring that service and that comfort level on board the ships.
I didn't know
Good
that.
question.
Thank you.
Yes.
Great. So let's talk a little bit about future. We've got about 7 minutes left. I'm always amazed that the transition of what's happened in the cruise industry over the last 25 plus years. Where do you think we're going to go in the next 5 years? I don't think we have the crystal ball for the next 25 years. But what can we anticipate so we can help sell that to our clients about what's the exciting news that's on your agenda as cruise lines? Kevin.
Well, for 2015, Silversea is going to launch into, or we're going to sail into 71 new ports. So I think that's a big thing. And I think, in 5 years you'll see our fleet also grow. I said this earlier, I said the world's getting smaller, so it's up to us to come out to new places for our guests to travel to. And I think Silversea will always be on the front line of finding new ports and delivering people to new places. And I think expedition fleets will also kind of bring in a new audience to cruise.
Hold it back, hold it back.
Just kidding.
Well, I said earlier, we're finally going to have a fourth ship in the Regent Seven Seas fleet. It's the Regent Seven Seas Explorer. It will be coming out in 2016. And what we're hearing from passengers is that the suites that we have are very lovely and large, but they'd even like larger. So this will be an opportunity for us to really go into an even larger kind of a suite, more onboard dining venues, you know, as people want some contact back home. We're going to do more Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi on boards. They can continually connect with their home, and you know, just again changing to what our clients want. You listen to the client's needs, and you are able to make those changes.
How many passengers on the new ship?
It's going to be in the same vein. About
700.
700 passengers is what we currently have on the Voyager and on the Mariner.
Keeping that same destination theme that Kevin talked about, I think that's the key. As your client becomes more and more well-traveled, they're looking for different, unique experiences. So we're right on board with that. Every year we try to find new places to go. And if you notice, one year to the next, our voyages never repeat. So we're starting in Myanmar next year in January. We're going into Bali and Java and Indonesia. We're going into Australia, New Zealand, the end of 2015 into 16. So we listen to you. We listen to what the guests want and try to move the ships around, and that's why we want to grow and hopefully become more than a two-ship brand.
We just launched a new ship this year, the National Geographic Orion, so we're doing some really new and interesting itineraries. East Africa, West Africa, we're doing Madagascar, the Seychelles, Borneo, and I think over the next 5 years we'll probably replace some of the older vessels that we have, and some potentially, hopefully, new builds as well. Outgrowing what we have right now.
I said before, I was hoping we were coming back into the New York area, starting in the summer, because we were here a few years ago and haven't been in, but we are branching out into Japan. We just re-entered the Diamond Princess into service. We took her out to accommodate the Japanese market. So it's for Americans and Japanese. So we're kind of figuring it's going to be like a 60-40 or 50-50 split on the ship, and it'll offer 9-day sailings round trip from Tokyo. And then on CUNARD, I mentioned we were doing Mediterranean cruises. We're offering 7-day Med, which we really, CUNARD typically was always known for the longer sailings. So next year we have 21 7-day Med departures on the Queen Victoria.
Great. We got everybody? No, Mary, we did go.
Right, both ends. So I guess you've heard that the key is destination driven. For us, my fingers are crossed, but we have no new builds in process right now or that have been announced. But because of that, we need to keep reinventing where the ships are going and delivering that best customer service. So we are trying the northern part of Europe for next year, and sales have already been phenomenal for 15 for that. So our guests kind of same as several people have said, we look for where they want to go and we deliver for them, and fingers crossed we get some new builds since it's a 5-year plan.
Okay.
And river cruising, as you all know, has just been explosive in terms of growth over the past several years, and we definitely continue to see that trend in the next 5 years. We will be building 2 new ships a year in Europe. Our philosophy is steady growth, not explosive growth. We want to make sure that we can keep that high level of customer service that AmaWaterways is known for. We are also adding a ship in Myanmar as well. Lovely, we call it a ship. She's 56 guests. She's an all-suite ship. Her name is the AmaPora, and she'll be sailing on the Irrawaddy River doing 10 and 14-night cruises in Myanmar. And in the future, my humble opinion, I think that we probably will explore China in the next 5 years without a doubt. I'm looking forward to it. and it's going to be a really exciting time the next 5 years.
Super. Any questions from the audience? So why don't we end a little bit with sort of your tagline or sum it up. You know, it was interesting in Virtuoso, Matthew of Church used a phrase that I thought was so great, and for those who sat here yesterday heard me say it in the earlier panel, but you know, friends selling to friends. You know, this is such a relationship business, more so than ever, that despite the technology that's going on, the frenetic world that we live in, at the end of the day, it's the people we connect with, it's the people that we work with, and that's where we can really differentiate ourselves. So we're doing this fun little Twitter thing where we're gonna be posting out different taglines and what you guys say, so try and keep it to 140 characters or something like that. But when I say Valerie Wilson Travel, I say the power of access. So I'd love all of you to sort of say restate your brand name and then say your, what you want to tell us, because that'll be a great way for us to walk away from today. So whoever wants to start.
I'll start
We'll
with
go
this
around
one.
in this way.
With Azamara Club Cruises, it would definitely be You'll Love Where We Take You.
With Lindblad, I think it's the up close access that you have to nature.
With Regent Seven Seas, we are the most inclusive luxury cruise experience, but I love the tagline, why choose when you can have it all?
That's good, right? That's a good one, Mary.
Princess Cruises, our tagline, it has been changed to come back new. We want you to come back relaxed and refreshed. On CUNARD side, really traditional cruising, rich in history, amazing ships, lots to offer.
I would do a hashtag and personalized service.
AmaWaterways, I had Azamara.
We all want to go.
AmaWaterways, leading the way in river cruising.
Great, love it.
Disney Cruise provides a fabulous cruise for everyone.
Super. Thank you, everybody. Hugely successful.